everybody, and welcome to this really fun and exciting brand new product reveal. In today's video, I am going to be sharing this brand new traveler's notebook that I created for the month of October. Now, I don't really want to say it's a Halloween themed insert because it's definitely not that. It's more of just, I don't know, like October and spooky and all the macabre stuff, and I didn't really go with a theme other than kind of medical, like vintage medical and just sort of October. You're gonna totally understand what I mean when I flip through this, but before I do, I want to share with you guys the exclusive postcard that is going to be coming with this insert if you purchase it. It is one of my favorite postcards that I have ever made, and I made it using proper vintage medical labels, and it goes so perfectly with this insert, and you will totally understand what I mean when I flip through it. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and open this beauty up. I do want to mention that this was a collaboration between Crafty, Lisa's Vintage, and myself. I'm on her design team, and Lisa really wanted an October insert, I think personally, and she was like, well, if I want one, why don't we just collaborate and make this a thing for everybody who loves this kind of stuff? So I happily agreed because I've been wanting to do another holiday / monthly themed insert, and this felt like the perfect opportunity to do so. So Lisa sent over a bunch of great vintage October, Halloween, spooky, ghoulish, medical related stuff, and I got to work. I got it done in a single session. I filmed the entire process, and I will leave the link for that for you if you want to watch how this physically came to be and the tragic end of the project that ended up being a happy, terrible mistake. So what I mean by that is once the project was actually finished, and I actually have it here, I just picked it up from my printer, it accidentally was ruined. Somehow water got spilled onto the notebook and just destroyed it, basically. So I talked to Lisa, and Lisa, this is from my printer, Lisa didn't hate the end result. I was kind of upset. See, it's like falling apart. I was kind of upset about the bleeding, but Lisa really loved it and wanted to continue on with the project with it looking completely damaged like this. So you're going to be able to see like the before and after of how well this translates being reprinted, but you can see the water damage. It was extensive. I did have to re-glue a lot of these pieces, and as you can see, they're still kind of falling off. But one of the problems that stuck out the most to me was this bleeding. It was just too bright. A lot of people said they really liked it and they weren't bothered by it at all. In fact, everybody that commented said that they loved the end result. They didn't mind that it was like sort of watered down and just looked 100 years old. And, you know, after sort of understanding everybody's opinion, I kind of tend to agree, especially with the theme of the insert. It definitely goes with the whole vibe. So now that you have seen the end result, you understand what I'm talking about it being ruined. You can see the staples literally just fell out of the notebook. You can see all the tearing and all of that. So let's go ahead and get into the physical end result, and you guys will see what I mean by all that. I'm sorry for like the delay, but I want to give kind of a backstory behind the whole project. So this is your cover page, and I used this piece on purpose so that if you wanted to put like a return to sender sort of thing, you definitely could do that here if you wanted to, but you didn't have to, but that's kind of what I was going for. And I hope that it's translating well on camera. But you guys can see the shadowing where the pages sort of lifted up from the scanner. So the printer that I use, they have a very, like one of the best professional scanners that you can get. It's actually brand new to them. When I first started making these inserts, they were using their older scanner, and that one was amazing as well, but they've since gotten a newer one. And I love that the newer scanner is picking up all of these wrinkles, basically, these wobbles in the paper. And I did have my printer also sort of tame down the coloring when it came down to the bleeding. Some of the colors were just too bright, and I wanted to sort of tame them down, and some of them were just a little too deep, and I wanted to brighten them up. He knows my vibe. We've been working together for several years now, and he knows exactly what I'm looking for without really having to ask. And I love this bleed through right here. It just looks like it sat in a ditch or like this side of the road for a month. But yeah, it comes through here. You can see where the staples were sort of really coming out and ripped the paper on the original insert, and I love that that translates. And they aligned their stapler to fit into those holes, which I thought was really, really thoughtful. But yeah, I just think it's really, really cool. It really sort of made the project feel saved and kind of legitimate in a way, where I wanted to create this sort of like medical, Halloween-y, spooky, rustic, like just dingy insert, and ruining it came to be like one of the greatest things. You can see a serious wrinkle here when the accident first happened. My husband immediately put paper towels in between each page and put it into a press so that we wouldn't have a lot of this wobble. And this was a result of that, which I actually love. And the wobble is still there, but I think that's great. I really do. This is what I mean by the bleeding. He toned this down quite a bit. Let's pull out the original. You can see the difference there. And let me make sure I'm just in frame. Yeah, the color was just a little too bright for me, and I was super thankful that he toned down some of these things. And I was a little bit worried about the spacing here, but actually I think when people start using this and like adding their own things, I think it's really going to close up and you're not going to be able to see that. And even if you do, I don't really hate it because I did intentionally tear it and create quite a drastic separation there. But I hope you guys can see, yeah, you can. This distressing is just so interesting. It just adds so much texture, and it goes like all the way down into the spine. That's not a natural shadow. That is printed on that, and it just, oh, it's just so interesting. So I am definitely planning on using this insert for October. I've been talking about it for a while. I am going to be using this October insert for October. I'm going to be using my volume 3 insert, which is something that I released earlier this year, for November. And I also used it for a trip that I did back in March. And then in December, I'm going to use one of my Christmas inserts. It's still to be determined if I'm making a Christmas insert. They did and have done continuously well. I'm not really sure how many I have left. And if I'm capable of making another one, but stay tuned. If that project becomes a reality, I will be sure to share here and on Instagram. This was another layout that I was extremely worried about. The coloring and the bleeding here was just so extreme, and I just wasn't really loving that final effect here. You can see the bleeding here, and you can see how he toned down some of the coloring. He didn't have to do too much. I was really surprised, and he didn't charge me for any of the work that he did do, because the scanner really took away a lot of the dramatic color variance. But on this page, I definitely wanted him to sort of tone everything down, and he did. And I just really, 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 really love the end result. This was just like popsicle orange. It just looked too intense for me, and it toned down naturally on its own. This was the page I was most worried about, because this was bright orange, this was bright orange, and there was a lot of color happening on this one, and the final result ended up being perfect. The orange was toned down a little bit to more of a red. I'm not super upset about it, but I do wish that this was a little bit brighter, but I think overall it looks good with this, and it tends to sort of make this color make sense. But you guys can see the color difference there. And this one again has this really great wobble you can see in the paper, and it's not there in real life. I mean, I don't have to say that, but just in case I did. And I did use lots of these medical labels. I just really have enjoyed using them, and I know they're very difficult to find. So being able to use an insert using supplies that I know are typically difficult to find makes it a lot more interesting for you guys. So you don't have to source all of these things. You can just worry about documenting your month, documenting your memories, documenting your adventures and everything. It just makes it easier when you don't have to worry about making it pretty or interesting. It's just all there. This one I used a horoscope reading and I loved the border. The reason I did it as the end page was because it was just very big and I felt like it would give you guys freedom to decorate the outside if you wanted to, or to keep it very simple. But yeah, I just really love how this turned out. This particular layout with the bleeding right here, it's just so interesting. I almost wish I had just like put it in a bucket of dye, like tea, and let it just soak and get some of that like really rich like staining, color staining. But if you watch the original video when I made this actual insert, I filmed the whole process. At the end of it, you will understand why I had such a difficult time with this. I went into full-blown panic. This was basically a commissioned piece for the collaboration with Lisa, and I felt like I had ruined it. I thought it was over. And luckily we were able to save the project, but it was just a very disastrous day. I want to look at this. Oh yeah, see, look, that translated really, really well. I just really love that. And then of course that staining is not very big. And this came out deeper and richer, and I love that. So anyway, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this sort of behind the scenes, again, storytelling and an official flip through of this insert. They are for sale on my Etsy account now. Depending on when you watch this, there will be a pre-order up. I'm going to be shipping these beginning this week and next week, but do remember that if you do purchase the insert, you get the postcard as well. And yeah, I'm really, really excited. This is the postcard for the insert that I made, and actually, sneaky peek, this is the postcard that I made for Patreon, for my patrons. So if you want to get the set of postcards, you can become a postcard pal over on my Patreon and just opt for the postcard option. And then if you want this one, you can get the insert. So it's a really fun way to get both of these really awesome postcards. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope that you guys had fun watching this video and that you are getting as excited as I am for October. I can't wait. And yeah, that's going to be it. I will catch you guys later. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Bye.